Young America, Minnesota, Stratford, Connecticut, Blair, Nebraska. Definitely not your typical vacation destinations, but for millions of Americans, these places are gateways to fun, fantasy, and, with a little bit of luck, fortune. These towns and others like them are the homes to the largest sweepstakes in the nation. Hi, I'm Patrick Van Horn. Come along with me now as we discover the secrets of winning sweepstakes. First, a little history. Sweepstakes became a national craze during the Depression, when companies competed for new customers. Giveaways offered a glimmer of hope to new sweepstakers. Actually, sweepstakes may have started long before the Depression. Industry expert and author Russ Bowman has done some digging to find out.
One I looked up was the first English lottery was in 1569, and it was run by Elizabeth I, and it was because she needed money, get money to fund a harbor project at the time. There were certainly a lot of games and contests and sweepstakes that were going on probably in the 20s and the 30s. One that I looked up was a really old one for Colgate ribbon dental cream. It's called What Well-Known Story Does This Picture Bring to Mind? And obviously when you look at the example here, you'll see that it was Gulliver's Travels, but it's an old contest that was run in Colgate, and the date here is December 5th, 1921.
So just why do people enter sweepstakes? Is it only the lure of fabulous prizes like a GE camcorder or big bucks or exotic travel? Or is there something more? Just listen to what these sweepstakers have to say.
It's like Peter Pan or that old series, The Millionaire. They're hoping someday someone will come to their door with a check for $1 million, and maybe it's only a keychain. But it's kind of fun to think, you know, you competed with thousands and thousands of other people and you won a keychain. I mean, it's not $1 million, it's silly, but it's still fun.
I enter them, first of all, to try to win something, a biggie, you know, a big prize. It's a hobby. Some people collect stamps, some coins, and I just happen to enter sweepstakes. You know, that's my pastime.
I don't have a lot of money saved, and I always felt if I had won a trip, I'd get somewhere where like Hawaii or something like that, where I'd never be able to afford to go myself. And I never had a new car, and I always would see these cars as prizes, and I said, well, maybe I'll win a beautiful car. So that was always on my mind. I would better myself by winning something big like that.
I think most people really expect to win a major prize, or at least they have great hope to win one, and that's how they get into it. I think once you win a little prize or two and you realize it is possible, then of course you want to win even greater and greater things. Greed is a big thing, and we have to admit most of us have got a little seed of greed.
If I won $2 million or $1 million, I think that my husband and I would plan some vacations that we would like to go to. I'd like to get a boat. Put some money away for the future. I mean, I guess that much money I would have to consider some future investments.
I like to take risks, and I like to do things of chance, and I like to think that something good will come in the future. I have a very good skill with it, and I have kind of a knack about doing it. So I want to put that skill to use, and hopefully I'll win some very valuable prizes in the near future.
I like to enter sweepstakes because it buys the extra things that I can't buy on a teacher's salary, and that way we have extra things for gifts or that we wouldn't be able to buy normally, tickets to dinners out and things like the TVs and the microwaves and that wouldn't fit into the budget too.
Just how big are sweepstakes today? Well, the experts say that 1 out of every 3 Americans enters sweepstakes every month. They spend hundreds of millions of dollars in postage every year. Now, here at Promotion Marketing Services Incorporated in Connecticut, the sweeps judges say they receive more than 200,000 pieces of mail every week. PMSI, a major sweeps agency and fulfillment house in Connecticut, handles 75 to 100 sweepstakes a year for clients such as American Express and Nabisco.
Having been at this for a good number of years, you have a sense and a feeling for what consumers want and also for what other clients want. You know that travel is very popular. You know that cash is always, as you know, very popular. What you want to do is, have that grand prize be so compelling, no matter what it is, that the consumers are going to love it, and copywriters are going to want to write interesting copy about it. So a bowling ball would not fit that category, but a trip to Rome or Paris might.
Sweepstaking has grown to be a $1 billion industry today, with virtually every type of company and product category represented. From the traditional to the extravagant, sweeps have kept pace with the times. Early sweeps targeted the housewife, but today sweeps are going after every segment of the population.
Your cosmetic industry has gotten into sweepstakes very heavily. You have a new industry which has cropped up, which is your entertainment industry. And they, because of the hoopla of their type of business, run a lot of sweepstakes, and very successfully, I might add.
That's right. Every weekend in March, we're giving away a pair of tickets to paradise. And you could be a winner.
We just finished one program called the Star Power Sweepstakes, which was a phenomenal success. We got a lot of entries on the program. And the nature of the program was that the winners, there were 4 winning couples, were to go to Hawaii and spend time with the celebrities from the cast of the Brothers Show. One of the winners was a 1-year-old little boy. His father filled out the entry in his name. And the entire group of winners was so close that I'm still in contact with them. We write each other, we talk over the phone, and just very, very nice people.
So why do companies run sweepstakes? Why do they give away thousands of things like basketballs and starships and puffalumps and tennis shoes and cameras and Walkmen and hardbound copies of John Milton's Paradise Lost? Let's find out.
The basic reason for sweepstakes is not to get people to enter. Okay, it's to reinforce a position, it's to get the trade to do something for you, it's to motivate the consumer to do something aside from just entering. For instance, in Air France, we wanted to get that consumer to the participating travel agent. That was our objective.
Well, there are lots of goals, and sweepstakes do different things. But entries are not really the true judge of whether a sweepstakes is successful or not. What they want to see is the supermarket putting up their displays.
The retailer will perceive a lot of additional traffic coming in, so to make it easier for the consumer to find the product, he'll build an in-aisle display. And as a result, we know that when we build a display, just its presence alone will account for anywhere from 200 to 600% greater volume than not having the display itself.
And veteran sweepstakers can attest to the success of this strategy. They do remember product names.
Like I myself use Gillette razor blades. Now they are running a contest now with, they're giving away 10 cars. And when I look at Gillette all the time, I think of the 10-car contest. I'm more apt to pick that one up, Gillette, over another brand.
It's wonderful for them, identity. When you print the product name, you remember it. You remember it very, and you'll see it on the shelf, Prego sauce. You printed that name, you'll buy Prego sauce.
No matter what the motivation, millions of Americans enter sweeps on a daily basis. The folks at PMSI estimate they receive over 10 million entries a year at their facility. That's a lot of 3x5s and hand-addressed envelopes. And of course, in many sweeps, only one winner is chosen for a grand prize. If, in fact, the average sweepstakes attracts 350,000 entries, that makes your odds of winning the big prize 1 in 350,000. Coming up, you'll discover some tips on how to follow the rules and better your chances of winning, But for now, let's take a look at just how a sweeps facility operates. This is one of 3 warehouses where PMSI receives your sweepstakes entries forms. They also store prizes here, and they mail prizes from here. But through here is where it all begins. In a brainstorming session where the agency and the sponsors get together and come up with those eye-catching campaigns designed to make you go home and fill out those 3x5 cards. First, the contest theme and prize structure.
Well, we go with a recommendation. Most companies like a pyramid sort of prize structure with a great big grand prize, a high-value grand prize, because that's exciting and that's what you really want to capture in the graphics if it's a print kind of thing. And then, again, the traditional kind is with a few first prizes, a few more second prizes, and then down on the bottom, maybe at the 4th prize level or 5th, you might have a base of 1,000 up to maybe 5,000 low-end prizes.
We do find, as a general rule of thumb, that as far as motivating consumers, cash is without a doubt the best prize, because it allows the consumer to fulfill whatever particular dream that they have, and we're not forcing a dream on them.
Always had an argument within the industry. Everybody always says that cash is the most popular type of offering, and I've always taken deferment from that, in the sense that if you're offering cash, a person views cash as just the dollar value of what you're offering, and often what happens is that if they're a winner, it goes towards paying off all of their debts, because things are very expensive today. But if you're offering a car or a vacation, that's something that's going to be remembered for the rest of their lives. I can tell you that the people from Showtime that won the trip to Hawaii will never forget that trip.
After determining theme and prize structure for the sweepstakes, the agency then creates the bane of all sweepstakers, the rules.
Well, you don't borrow someone else's rules that they have written for another promotion, because each promotion somehow is different than every other one that has gone before it. Either the dates or the people who are eligible for it or some aspect of it. So we really view official rules as a roadmap into the entire promotion.
The rules are really determined for us, in large part, by legislation and law, both federal and state. We may require that everybody send in their entry in a number 10 envelope. And the reason for that is simply to keep everything uniform, so you don't have little ones, you don't have big ones.
Next comes the mail, your sweepstakes entries. Most agencies pick up their own mail and then bring it to a warehouse like this one. Here at PMSI, the mail arrives in trays, and each tray holds about 1,400 envelopes.
As the mail comes in, we actually pick it up at the post office every day. When we pick it up, the post office has already sorted it for us by post office box into mail trays. Those mail trays are loaded into our vans, brought back here into our facility, and unloaded here. As they're unloaded, we split the mail into different post office box groups, which is actually different promotion groups. We then take random selections from each of those trays of mail. Those random selections go into a hold box or carton or bin, depending upon the size of the contest. And those are the entries that we actually make the drawing from at the end of the sweepstakes period. The balance of the entries are put back into stock and retained until the end of the sweepstakes. It's pretty easy to spot a group that's come from a professional enterer or someone who's a serious hobbyist at this. Generally, when they're mailing to us, they're coming to our unique zip codes. So as they go through the post offices on the way to us, especially the post office in the state that they're mailing from, they are generally grouped together in one group, and if he is the only person or she is the only person that's mailed in that day, we will probably get all of their entries together in one bundle from that post office, so they're very easy to spot.
As you can see, sweepstakes have definitely entered the computer age. In some drawings, names randomly chosen from mail trays are entered into a computer. On the day of the drawing, the computer selects a winning name. From automatic check cutters to high-speed envelope openers, it's high-tech all the way. Because most sweeps agencies handle several games at once, it takes a warehouse to store all the prizes. At PMSI and agencies like it, the equipment is state-of-the-art for determining sweepstakes winners. There are computers, there are automatic envelope slicers, they've got it all. But there's one piece of equipment that is more important than all the rest, and it's a piece of equipment that's remained virtually unchanged in the history of sweepstakes: the drum. The folks at PMSI recreated for us a sweepstakes drawing. Let's listen in and see how it's done.
I think that's good. That's good. Okay, so this is the grand prize winner. Okay. Here we go. Okay. What now? We're going to pick a first prize winner first. Okay, that's one. And a second prize winner.
Now remember, this is just one agency. Each facility uses different methods to determine sweepstakes winners. Some choose by computer, and others still rely on the more traditional method of drawing a winner by hand. But even within that method of hand drawing, there can be several variations. Some agencies number each mailbag or tray, place the numbers into a drum or hopper, such as this one, and then randomly select the winning mailbag. Next, the winning entry is randomly picked from that bag or tray.
Lorraine, this is our grand prize winner.
Now that we've seen several examples of drawings, let's take a look at the real thing. That's right, a live drawing. The sponsor, Smirnoff. The grand prize, a trip for two to several of the most exciting resorts in Mexico. The number of entries, 4,032.
The Smirnoff program, which we will be drawing today, is called Beach Bash, and it was a Beach Bash, and it was an on-premise program, which meant that each of the lounges or bars had a Smirnoff Beach Bash party, and the consumers would go into the lounge or the bar, and they would fill out an entry form, insert it into a ballot box, which was a business reply box, and then the bar owner would forward those boxes to us. What we will do is we will open those ballot boxes, insert them in the entries into a hopper, and then select the winners. What we're going to do here is select the prize winners for the sweepstakes. We will blindfold the drawer. You'll notice that she has a glove on. We have the winner. Now we will select an alternate winner for the grand prize.
These people are really going to be happy. They're from Alaska.
Now that we've survived the tension of a live drawing, let's talk to some real winners and discover their secrets of winning sweepstakes. Some of you are really quite creative, trying to get the attention of sweepstakes judges. For instance, neon envelopes, stickers all over the envelopes, a message on the envelope to the judge that says, "Have a nice day," tiger striped envelopes, and oversized envelopes, this one in the popular Christmas motif. But are these methods really effective? Do they give you a winning edge? Well, it depends on who you talk to. First, we'd like to introduce you to our experts, real folks just like you who are serious about their sweepstaking and have winning secrets to prove it. Diane Kleeman, $25,000 winner, 10-year sweeps veteran. Harry Woodworth, winner of a trip to St. Martin. Banker Bill Larsgaard, winner of $30,000. 19-year-old Jim Matsika, $2,000 winner. Janice DeMauro, a $10,000 winner. Shirley Michaels, lucky winner of a trip to Mount Rainier, camping equipment and cash for her entire family. $10,000 winner Michael Friendries, who also scored a trip for two to the Bahamas. Longtime sweepstaker Gloria Kosh, with 3 cars and an appearance on a network television show to her credit. Expert and author Bill Danch, who has 8,000 sweepstakes wins under his belt, including 6 trips. Radio producer David Duato, recently a $1,000 winner. And contest newsletter editor Denny Hamilton, herself an ardent sweepstaker and winner. First, we asked them each how they decided which sweeps to enter.
I go through the contest newsletter. I also go to the library and look through national publications to see what may be coming up.
If I feel in my mind that I have a chance to win and it's something that I really want to have, then I go for it.
I enjoy the ones with the cars, the cash, jewelry, or home entertainment type of gifts. You know, with televisions, stereos, and things of that nature.
If you have to have an official entry form, or if you have to have a game piece, or if you just can enter them by 3x5 paper or card. The ones that you have to have an entry form for, fewer people send those in because they either can't find the entry forms or don't bother to request them by mail. I judge them by how long they last because a lot of them end so quick that they won't make it into the newsletters and a lot of people won't find out about them.
Many of our winners have creative approaches to help streamline their sweepstakes hobby.
I have everything all prepared. I'll have my envelopes all written out with my name and address on it. I'll have my cards and I'll have my 3x5s. So then I just sit right after that and then I go into the newsletter and then I can speed it. I can rattle off 25 to 50 in a couple hours.
I write these down on 3x5 cards and I use a little accordion-shaped folder like this with the dates, the months of the year, and I write them down, the ones I'm interested in such as a manner of the postmark date, how to enter it, whether it's printing on a 3x5, the address, and on the back I put the prizes, and I usually, if it's listed, list when they're going to have a drawing date, just only for my own references. I also have a big calendar.
I write out the address by hand, and I myself will use a label for the return address, unless it says the envelope should be handwritten only. Then I won't trust it by putting the label on it. I'll also write my return address by hand.
The time I spend entering sweepstakes is probably about 4 or 5 hours a week when I have time in the evening to sit down and relax. That's my relaxation.
Now, do any of these big winners do anything special to their entries? Author Bill Danch is a big fan of color and decoration.
I am one of the old faithful who believe in colors and slightly different envelope sizes. I use the legal size, true, but not as much as the others. And the others have paid off more for me than the legal size. And if you do use a legal size envelope, try to use a pastel color, because girls are picking these from piles usually, and they like pastel colors. I think decoration helps. Again, only one judge agrees with me, but he is a judge with one of the bigger firms, a firm that I've won with a lot of times. And he said that one reason I won was that some of mine were decorated and they picked those.
I write a little something on the back of my envelope, and the 2 words I write, I crisscross it here, is get lucky. And I've been doing that for a year, so if that helped, I don't know. But that's what I put on every one of my contests.
Well, I myself personally feel that if you send in different color envelopes, it brightens up the day the judges, when they take the envelopes out of the bags. Naturally, a brighter envelope is going to catch something than just a plain white envelope, because they see those you know, all the time. So you have to look at little things to put the odds in your favor.
Diane Kleeman has good reason to believe in the power of color. 25,000 reasons.
That was in a colored envelope. It was one single entry in a colored envelope on a plain 3x5 piece of paper, with the qualifier being the UPC off the bottle of Crown Royal.
But not everyone agrees that color helps.
These people who run the contests are not there to pick out the pretty envelope. They're there to do something random, and I personally do not believe that coloring and decorating helps at all.
Let's hear what some sweeps judges have to say about it.
Well, it doesn't give you a better chance of winning, but it sure makes my job a lot more fun.
Doesn't make any difference at all. The consumer sometimes thinks that if they have the most brightly colored envelope, somehow the person that's drawing their eye will be attracted to it and they'll reach in and pull it out. But that's really not applicable, because when the entries go into the drum and it's spun around a few times, when the judge actually reaches in and picks up the entry, they are looking up, they're not looking in.
My personal opinion is that it hurts you as an entrant. I've worked out there in the plant over the years and helped to draw sweepstakes entries. What you find yourself doing is you find yourself, in fact, avoiding them because there is a thought in your mind that you are giving them special preference because of the brightly colored envelopes, and you shouldn't be giving them special privileges or preference, so you instead probably tend not to pull them as often as you do regular mail.
Now, when it comes to multiple entries and spacing, most sweepstakers have firm beliefs about what works best.
I do stagger the entries on something that I really, really would like to win, because the contesters or the contest newsletters tell you that the way they're picked, the sweeps are picked, or your entries are picked, they come in these mail bags, and they put them in mail trays. I think they showed it on one of the television shows once. And the judge will go and pick one from here and one from here. So if you mail 5 entries at the same time, it's more than likely that all 5 of your entries are going to go in that one mail thing.
I spread my entries out as much as possible, dividing them by the number of entries I have that I'm going to send to one particular sweeps by the number of days left to enter.
Try to get in a lot at the end of the deadline, because maybe they're counting on you having them on top of the pile.
Basically enter every sweepstakes at least one time. And those that you particularly want to win a prize, enter them as often as you can afford to enter.
The judges also have some advice on this subject.
Your chances are probably better if you send them in on a staggered basis, particularly in a sweepstakes that draws a large number of entries, simply because when those entries come in from the post office, they come in mail bags, and depending on how the sweepstakes judge decides to draw, the more bags you can get your entries into, the better your chances will be.
We get most of our mail on Monday, and that's really, it's more a postal processing quirk than anything else. The post office works all weekend processing mail. So all mail that comes in from Friday evening through Saturday is processed and batched out Sundays, so Monday morning when we pick up is our heaviest pickup. Probably the most mail that we've ever gotten on a single Monday, I would guess would have been somewhere in excess of 1 million pieces, would be the most we've ever gotten. A more typical day would be somewhere around 20 to 40,000 pieces of mail.
Some sweeps fans swear by the crumpled envelope.
If they crumble up their envelope before they mail it, what will probably happen is it will come in a little plastic bag in shreds which says damaged in handling in U.S. postal equipment.
As a judge myself, I cannot pay attention to colored envelopes, to writing on the envelopes, to the size of the envelope, something like that. It's, as mentioned, to be a random sweepstakes. And if I were to pay attention to that, that would not be fair.
While the envelope and 3x5 may be non-issues to judges, handwriting is important. Block letters are the cornerstone of sweepstaking. Most folks think they know how to write them, but judges say handwriting is, in fact, illegible in many cases.
A lot of people in this country have lousy handwriting, moi included, so we unfortunately have to kick out a lot of entries we draw because we just can't read the people's names and addresses. We'd like it in all caps, but again, I don't think I would ruin someone's hopes and dreams because they did a small I instead of a large I. They got it in on time, and they followed the rules, and they were indeed eligible, and they met all the requirements, and we could read their name and address, and they would be a winner.
Nevertheless, let's take a look at what constitutes block letters. These are block letters. These are block letters. These are not. Can entries be typed, stamped, or stickered?
As long as the entry is either typed or handwritten, it is accepted. We cannot accept computer-generated or label-generated names on sweepstakes entries.
The only thing that I would caution about is that many of these sweepstakes forms and vehicles that are used for it are on a fairly heavily coated stock. And if they use an ink pad and stamp it onto this stock, it could very easily be smudged, or in many cases it will definitely be smudged. So they should check to see that at least it is setting properly or dried properly before they put it into the envelope. Apparently there's a perception that we're really trying to find ways not to award prizes to people, and that's just couldn't be further from the truth. We get paid to award prizes to people. We love to give stuff away. It's fun. It's great. I can't afford to do that personally, so it's like running a toy store and not charging for it. It's fun. We love it. It's great. They have to be given away. Why not? We don't care who we give them to. It's that simple.
It may be simple to the judges, but for many sweepstakers, several questions remain unanswered. Let's see if the experts can help solve some of the mysteries surrounding sweepstakes. For instance, do some sweeps offer you better chances of winning?
You have less chance of winning a prize if there's only one prize. So I'd say that if there are 500 prizes, you have a much better chance of winning a prize. And so I would say enter those a little more heavily. You also should enter local sweepstakes very heavily. You have a lot less competition. And local sweepstakes can win you a lot more, really, than national. You should also enter heavily those sweepstakes that require an official entry form. Most sweepstakes have an alternative. You can use paper or a card. But occasionally a sweepstakes will come where you must have an official entry form. That sweepstakes will undoubtedly get many less entries, and so you have a slightly better chance of winning those. The other kind that you can enter heavily and have a better chance at winning are those which only last a month. We'll say the deadline is only a month away, rather than many of the national sweepstakes can last 6 months to a year.
Denny's advice is solid. As editor of the contest newsletter, she's seen results. Just last year, her subscribers won prizes worth $10,190,858 in 255 contests. Denny says it's also important to remember the difference between a sweepstakes and a contest.
Sweepstakes is 100% luck. It's a random drawing. You send in your name, and you and thousands, hundreds of thousands of other people, and they pull your name out of a bag. A sponsor cannot require a proof of purchase.
A sweepstakes is definitely a game of chance, and therefore cannot require proof of purchase. And a contest is a game of skill and can require a proof of purchase.
Yet some sweeps do ask for a proof of purchase or UPC code. If you read the small print, you'll see that a qualifier can be sent instead. But are your chances better if you send in the POP?
The answer is unequivocally no, they don't have a better chance. Some people think they do. They like to believe that the gods are going to favor them if they buy the product, but it's not true. No, everybody has an equal chance.
What's our experts' advice on using official entry forms?
Most of the clients like us to say, send in your official entry form along with the proof of purchase of the particular product, but you cannot require that. We do get a lot of 3x5 cards, people who don't send in a proof of purchase or do the official entry form. And we treat those 3x5 entries the very same way we treat all the other entries. There's no discrimination. A lot of people will think, obviously, that they'd better put that proof of purchase in there, and our clients would like them to, and we would like them to also, but they stand the very same chance of winning the prize.
Sweepstakers also want to know how equitably their entries are handled when coupons, official entry forms, and 3x5s are all mixed in the same drum.
We simply do it on a proportional basis. If we knew that we had 100,000 entrants from a coupon slip, and we had 20,000 entrants from a teller machine, as an example, and another 40,000 that came in via second chance or whatever that particular method happens to be, we would proportionally draw from those batches to put into the final drawing group so that each method or each vehicle of entry had the same sort of chance at the prize.
Are chances for that prize better in so-called second chance drawings?
Absolutely. That's probably your best chance in all of sweepstakes, because not many people enter second chances, so your odds are much better.
Second chance sweepstakes are good because a lot of the instant winner prizes are never claimed.
Instant win game cards present a unique challenge to avid sweepstakers. Most feel their chances to win are slim if they must send away for the game card.
When a consumer sends in instant winning game pieces, his odds are just as good as if he got one in a box of cereal or obtained one in another manner.
And when rules stipulate only one entry per household, do judges really check all the entries?
We will, however, do a check to make sure there is just one winner per household. And typically it is done by a sort, say in a computer, first sorting by zip code, then looking for identical addresses within that zip code, then going back a step and looking for identical names within that address.
And once the winners are determined,
we inform the consumer that their name has been drawn and they're a potential winner in the sweepstakes, okay, and that we will have to have them sign an affidavit of eligibility and release, okay. In the case of very large prizes, more often than not, there is a private investigation to determine whether the affidavit is in fact bona fide.
all the winners we interviewed signed affidavits before collecting their winnings. While most of them have never turned down a prize, banker Bill Larsgaard carefully investigated the prize he won before deciding to accept. His original prize, 40 acres of Colorado land with a custom-built log cabin.
I think it would have been an excellent prize for someone who was basically an outdoors person and wanted wide open spaces and wanted to expend spend the money putting up his prefab. And it was sponsored by a very reputable company. The prefab was a beautiful home. And the other option, of course, was the cash, $30,000 cash option, which is the one that I chose.
I was so surprised. I kept asking him, well, I didn't understand it. He kept saying something about we were going to get a house and all this money, and I was shocked. I didn't know what to believe. I was used to his winning some small things, but never anything that big. I almost didn't believe it. I said, well, call me back when you find out more. I just wasn't sure. I thought it couldn't be true.
By the way, Bill sent in only one entry to win his $30,000. You never know what your entry will bring.
I thought it was pretty weird when I won the complete collection of Madonna tapes.
I ended up with about 20 bags of horse manure on the front porch.
Then there's the more conventional winnings. T-shirts, keychains, athletic bags, cameras, kitchen appliances, tea sets, jewelry, even a syrup warmer. But the big ones are the greatest payoff to many years of licking stamps and addressing envelopes.
Well, my son won a bicycle, and that was his first new bicycle, so that made him very happy. And the money, and the washing machine, 2 TVs. We've won a microwave, 3 boom boxes, 3 cameras, 3 Walkmans.
Okay, I won $2,000 cash, that's the biggest, and a trip to the Bahamas from Nature Made Vitamins.
I have won 6 major trips, which were very costly, and one was 10 days to the Bahamas, all expenses paid for 2 people, and an ocean-going yacht at disposal. That went into several thousands of dollars by itself. And then the others were also always expensive. Trips, usually cruises. And that's about it for that. That's 4 expensive stereos.
I won the grand prize, which was a trip for 4 to a lodge on Mount Rainier in Mount Rainier National Park in Washington State. All expenses paid, plus Coleman camping equipment.
I won numerous trips around the world. I won a wonderful trip to Australia, and I unfortunately was not able to take advantage of that trip, and that was first class deluxe all the way. I've won many trips to the Hawaiian island groups. I've won trips to Jamaica, Mexico, different places in the United States.
Just recently in May, I just had a trip that I won to Barbados for my wife and I. They sent us there, all expenses paid. They gave us $500 spending money, but as I said, all expenses were paid, so that was just for frills and thrills.
I was just notified in December that I won the Caltrate Healthy for Life Sweepstakes, which is a vitamin. And I was using them, by the way. And you were not required to send in anything except your name and address and word Caltrate Healthy for Life on your paperwork. So I mailed in about 7 of them, and that's the one I won, which is the biggest. A big $10,000.
Now here's something that you must not forget. If you win anything in a sweepstakes, Uncle Sam wants to know about it.
Every prize that you win, whether it's $1 or $1 million, is taxable, fully taxable. And the requirement for 1099 does not occur until the prize or the cash is valued at greater than $600. Then the IRS wants a copy of who paid it, who received it, and all the identifying numbers. If you can identify everything separately that you use only for that purpose, then there is no problem deducting anything you can think of. I suppose all the paper that you need to fill out and notes that you take and on how to go about winning a prize, or the stamps that you're purchasing. My recommendation is always a timely kept record in a very simple form. The IRS will accept a notebook, literally, that says, on January 15th, I mailed this and it cost me 25 cents. However you do it is fine.
The most important factor in figuring the taxes on your winnings is fair market value.
Fair market value is the price that a willing buyer would pay to purchase a particular good from a willing seller. Whatever you're willing to pay for the automobile or the trip to Paris or whatever it is would be a fair market value.
You know, practically everywhere you look these days, you can find sweepstakes brochures or advertisements or those ever-important entry forms. These are just a few of the sweepstakes handled by the folks here at PMSI, and they are all quite genuine. But the enormous popularity of sweepstakes in America has created an entire industry of sweepstakes lookalikes. They may use familiar terms that make them appear to be quite genuine, but they aren't. So how can you tell if you are a real winner in an actual sweepstakes? Well, here's some advice from the experts. KCBS radio consumer problem solver Barbara Kaufman answers hundreds of questions a day from listeners on the West Coast.
We get calls from people that get these postcards in the mail saying they think they've won something, but then when you read it, it actually says you have been selected to receive. So it doesn't say you've won, it says you've been selected to receive, and it names 4 fabulous prizes. And all you have to do is make a long-distance call at your own expense. Sometimes they'll say on the card that we'll reimburse the call. Now imagine trying to collect that from somebody in Sparta, Tennessee. So you make the call, and what you find out is that you have the chance of winning one of 4 prizes, but you have to buy something.
If it asks for money, I never, never, never send money.
So what does the future have in store for the world of sweepstaking? From instant sweeps to telephone sweeps.
Thank you for entering Chemical Bank's Talk of the Town Sweepstakes.
Look out, there's even more. In fact, the future may be with us. Just take a look at this spot for a sweepstakes sponsored by MTV.
MTV announces a special contest. The artist, Prince. The movie Under the Cherry Moon, and the movie premiere in your hometown. Sometime on Saturday, June 21st, we'll play the videos Kiss and Mountains back to back.
MTV targets the youth audience with its offbeat, unusual, and occasionally outrageous sweepstakes. The average MTV sweeps attracts 1 million entries in just 3 weeks of on-air promotion, and some of their sweeps have had 4 million entries.
Is that radical or what?
You could be next.
No matter what your fantasy prize might be, sweepstakers agree that the time, effort, and waiting are worth it.
It has paid off at least 4 times over every year that I've entered. So when I spend about $600 a year, I always win over $2,000 in prizes.
I think luck is probably 90%. That would be my guess. Luck is 90% of entering sweeps. I think the other 10% is following the rules that the sponsor sets up or the agency sets up for the sweepstakes. But I believe luck is 90% of it.
If you give up too soon, you are going to get discouraged. And when you do hit a dry spell, and all sweepstakers do hit dry spells, just keep going anyway.
Just remember, there's no way to get around the rules in sweepstaking. But sweeps judges and our winning sweepstakers agree on the following. Use several resources to locate sweeps: newspapers, magazines, newsletters. Read the rules thoroughly, even the small print. A magnifying glass really helps. Follow the rules exactly. Make sure your 3x5s and envelopes are legible. Enter often and space your entries throughout the duration of the sweeps. Enter local sweeps. Your chances are better because of fewer entries. Don't ignore second chance sweeps. Now, one last question for our agency judges. Can they tell which entries come from serious sweepstake hobbyists? And does it matter?
A professional contest entrant is not necessarily the one that will rip off a pad and send in 100 entries. It's one that himself or herself thinks they have a gimmick to win a program. They will send in colored envelopes. They will send in bigger envelopes. They will color in the envelopes. In terms of our selecting winners, we wear a blindfold, we wear a glove, and we try to eliminate any partiality to any particular entry that's differentiated.
You know, I think as long as they're following the rules, and if they're having, a good time, God bless them.
One final secret of winning sweepstakes. Don't be intimidated. The people here and elsewhere really do want you to win. Just keep in mind the 3 P's of sweepstaking: perseverance, patience, and postage. And remember, to better your chances of winning, enter regularly and enter often. I'm Patrick Van Horn.